schools of Australia. Welcome back to episode 3 of Veg TV. I'm Farmer Catherine from Velisha Farms, and today we'll be talking about celery, the joker of veg. Now, we're calling it the joker of veg, A, because it looks like a little bit of a joker's hat, and we've had a little bit of a card theme through the first and second episode. So episode 1 was the king of all vegetables, broccoli. Episode 2 was the diamond of all vegetables, cauliflower. Episode 3, we have celery. Now, why did we use joker as a reference other than the hat? Well, a lot of times people ask me, what do you do with celery? I buy it, I put it in my fridge, and I throw it out at the end of the week. So we think that's a bit of a joke, both for the reason that people don't know how to use it and the fact that you have to throw it out. So what we want to do today is teach you how it grows, how it's harvested, but also what you can do with it and see how you can derive the most value from this really great healthy vegetable. So firstly, join me out on the farm so we can talk about how celery is grown and harvested.
Surrounded by green again, but it's a different type of green. We've got celery here. So I wish you could be here because you can actually really smell it. It's quite strong, that really nice salty celery smell. So celery takes quite a bit longer to grow. So when I was over at the lettuce, I said we were about 6 to 8 weeks away. So in total, it takes about 10 to 12 weeks for iceberg lettuce to grow. Celery, on the other hand, can take 16 to 20 weeks. Now that's a lot longer. That's a couple of months. And when you've got a limited amount of space and a limited amount of farms, you have to take these things into account because it's how many plants you can grow in a year then obviously impacts your income. So celery, 16 to 20 weeks, so it's quite expensive to grow. On the plus side, it's quite a resilient plant to grow. And celery here in Waterbury South is some of the best tasting because we're close to the ocean, so it's got that really nice salty celery taste around it. Celery is really taken off in this area. We've started to grow it a lot more, and it's also become a lot more popular in export and overseas. Celery juices really, the health benefits have really taken off. Asia is a really big consumer of celery juice, so a lot of this celery will end up in Asia and overseas. But yeah, it's easy to harvest. The other good thing about celery is you've got a little bit of time. So at least you've got a few days of give before you have to come in and cut. Where things like broccoli, there's a truck going behind us, things like broccoli and cauliflowers, when they're ready, you've got to cut them straight away. So there's pros and cons to growing lots of different things. There's lots of things you have to take into account. But yeah, celery is one of our favourites at Velisha Farms.
So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about how celery grows out in the field. I just want to remind everyone that we do school programs here at the facility. Obviously we're in lockdown, that's why we're doing these TV episodes, just to get you outside while you're locked in. But hopefully by the end of November, or especially in 2022, we'll be having our school programs back on site so you can be out on the farm with me in the celery next year. So please go to Veg Education and book your school tour because you'll have as much fun as we are making these videos. So as I mentioned in the intro, we talked about celery, calling it the joker of veg. And that's because a lot of people keep coming up to me and saying, Catherine, what do I do with celery? I put it in the fridge, I leave it there for a week and I throw it out. Well, I want to give you some tips on how you make this really budget-friendly vegetable go the whole way. So now let's talk about celery and what we do with the whole bunch of it. So here's our joker veg. What do I do with it, Farmer Catherine? I hear this all the time. I put it in my fridge, I throw it out at the end of the week. Well, What we're going to do is use this whole celery. And if we get to use the whole celery, you know, usually celeries are in the supermarket or in the fruit shop at around $3.50, $4.50 max. So you do the maths on that, it's a pretty cheap meal. So firstly, with the tops, chop them off. But you're not going to throw them away. You're going to make some pesto out of these. And we're going to have a recipe coming up later to show you how you make pesto out of that. Now this is a type of pesto, look, you can have it with pasta, but we think like having it with chicken or something like that is really how it works beautifully. So there you go, top sorted, no waste. Secondly, so, you know, bit boring, but ever so tasty and easy. You've got your sticks. So for snacks, beautiful. I know when I was young, we used to put peanut butter in here. I'm not sure if that's what kids still do these days, and I know peanut butter is a bit of a risk point, so whatever you're allowed to put in there. Or you can make juice out of it. Now, if you Google celery juice, there's a lot of really big claims about it. I'm no doctor, so I won't make any claims, but I can assure you it's pretty healthy. So that's it, that's nearly gone. Now we've got the last bit. Now what you do is you cut this in half, you leave it whole, and you roast it. You put some oil, put some salt, you roast it whole. So it becomes really quite mellow, it loses that, you know, saltiness, it comes quite sweet. So it's like a replacement for fennel, if you've ever had that roasted, or any sort of root vegetable really. So there you go, your celery's used up, it's cost you very little, and your fridge is clean. So I hope that helped, I hope that's some good tips. And we're now going to go and see how this celery was harvested in the field.
Hello everyone, it's Mark here from Veg Education, and I'm going to show you how to make a delicious celery leaf pesto. It's really simple, there's only a few ingredients, you throw it in the blender, mix it up, and it is delicious. So, as Catherine showed us earlier, obviously chopping up your celery and taking the leaves is really important to use those. You can use them in lots of things, but this pesto is amazing. So I've got a big bunch here, I'm just going to roughly chop. I probably need a couple of cups worth, so I'm going to roughly chop those and throw them into the food processor, and it's really straightforward. I've also got about half a cup of olive oil, some blanched almonds, probably 2 tablespoons full, half a cup of Parmesan cheese, and 2 small garlic cloves. So I'm going to take the garlic cloves as well and just roughly peel them, chop them in half and throw those in as well. So we just throw all the ingredients into the blender. We start with the almonds, the garlic, the parmesan and our celery leaves. And we'll give that a quick blitz to bring it all together. Once it all comes together, we've now got all of our dried ingredients all blitzed up together. What I'm going to do now is just slowly add the olive oil. So I can drain that in the top, slowly add that until it comes together as a nice pasty consistency. Okay, so I've poured the olive oil in and that's brought the whole thing together, and the flavours and the smell, the aroma is amazing. I'm just going to put that over there and I'll show you now what we've got. So we've got this beautiful green pesto mix. You see, with the nuts and everything, oh, it smells delicious. Now the good thing about this pesto is you can use it in so many different ways. Put it on a cracker, put it on a bit of bread. You can put it in your toasted cheese sandwich, delicious. You can put it on some chicken or some fish to give it that little bit of extra flavour. And it's using this amazing vegetable celery. So never throw away the leaves. There's so many things that you can do with it. So the last part of what I want to do, I'm going to transfer this to a bowl and add a bit of salt and pepper for seasoning, and it's ready to eat. Okay, so I've transferred this beautiful pesto into a bowl here, as you can see. I'm just going to add a pinch of salt, some cracked black pepper, mix that through. The other thing you can add is a little bit of lemon juice or lime juice to add a little bit of zestiness. And there you have it, our beautiful celery leaf pesto. The only thing to do is to try it out. So get your favourite biscuit or cracker. Delicious.
Welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed that recipe for the pesto celery, a new way to use celery, and hopefully we've given you some tips on how to use that whole vegetable up so you'll never have to throw it out again and you'll never have to call it a joke. Obviously the way we harvest it is also no joke with those big machetes. So hopefully we've changed your view on celery, we've shown you a new way to use it, and we've inspired you to get into the kitchen with celery. Next, what we've got coming up is a little activity that you can do while you're at home in lockdown. And again, this is why we're doing Veg TV, is to get you outside while you're locked in. We also do school programs, so please don't forget that. Hopefully when we're all free, we'll be able to see you face to face and you'll be able to cut the celery with me. But for now, let's go to a little activity for you to use where you see how celery grows, and it's something fun that you can do when you buy your next celery bunch.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we're going to show you how to grow your own celery from the bunch of celery you have at home. So you need to measure between 5 and 8 centimeters from the bottom of the celery bunch, and then cut somewhere in between there. This is to create your root system. So this bottom part of the celery does contain a little bit of the root system, and so by encouraging it in some water, we can grow some more celery. You can peel off any extra stalks that are hanging around the edge, these should come off fairly easily. If you have to force them too much, then just leave them where they are. Next, we place our celery stalk into some water and we leave it there. We're going to leave it there for a number of days. After 2 days, what you're going to notice is it's going to start to discolor around the edge. That's quite normal, don't worry. After 6 days to a week, you're going to see some little celery stalks starting to grow out of the middle. If you check the bottom, you may see around the edge the start of a few little roots. After 12 days, you'll notice that the celery is starting to develop. Make sure that you change your water regularly. You want to try and keep that clean. And if you have a look at the bottom of the stalk now, you'll see those little roots forming around the edge. Don't worry if they're only tiny. This is quite normal. So once those roots start to form, you know that you're ready to plant. So you can plant your celery into the garden, or like we're showing you here, you can plant into a tub or planter box. So you need some good compost or some good soil that's got a lot of drainage. Pat it down, compact it down, and then what we want to do is we want to soak that in some water. Because the celery has only had water for its life so far, if we soak our pot in water so that water is drawn up into all the soil, so we're saying for about an hour. Once we've soaked our soil, we take our developed stem and just place it in the middle. Just push down. You don't need to bury it in the dirt, because what we're going to do is we're going to take some extra potting mix and just to keep our celery in place. So we can pat that down and make sure that we water it and keep it moist. Our celery will now continue to grow, and you can choose to harvest it at any point you like.
So thank you for joining us for episode 3 of Veg TV, learning about celery. We've also got 2 other episodes before this, one about brock, one about collies. Thank you for those of people who've subscribed. Keep subscribing because we're going to bring plenty more of these television shows, and we hope you enjoy them as much as we like making them. We're doing this because right now we would have been having school groups out here with us, and because we can't because of lockdown, we thought we'd keep things interesting for us and for you and make little excursions outside. So we're taking you outside while you're locked in. But hopefully by November, you could be joining us here with your school group. If it's not this year, because we know Dan needs to approve it, then it'll definitely be next year. So talk to your teachers, talk to your parents about booking a class so you can come and spend a few hours with us here at Velisha Farms, because we'd love to see you. There'll be another episode coming next week, episode 4. I can't tell you what veg that'll be, but you'll see then. So please join us next week, and thank you so much for watching Veg TV.